Here's my Gator 1 card. And if my audience members can please turn around and wave the camera. Thank you. Hello, my name is Alexia Solar, and today I will be giving you my informative speech. Soft, furry, cuddable little friends. What do we think of? That is when we think of animals. Well, what else should we be thinking about when we think of animals? We should be thinking about how they're helpless and defenseless creatures that have no voice in what happens to them. We should also be thinking about their involvement within animal testing. My goal for you is to understand what animal testing does and the effects it causes on the animal, as well as understanding what you can do to help. My credibility for this topic is I have researched a variety of different articles to give you the latest and most up-to-date information on animal testing. The 5 aspects of animal testing that I will get into are the types of animals that are used in testing, why these animals are being tested, the types of tests that are conducted, alternative measures that can be used, and what you can do to help. All right, so getting into the first aspect of animal testing, we have types of animals used for testing. There are a variety of different animals that can be used in testing. The ones that are from the American Anti-Vivisection Society that they list are dogs, cats, guinea pigs, hamsters, rats, monkeys, birds, sheep, and also rabbits. The primarily used animal would be monkeys due to their genetic dynamic that is closely related to humans, as well as the rats and the rabbits because of their large eyes and their fur-like texture. Now, why are these animals being tested? These animals are being tested for drugs, chemicals, cosmetics, foods, experimentation, also listed in the American Anti-Vivisection Society. The most commonly used testings are going to be for drugs and chemicals. They test animals for drugs and chemicals because to see their effects and the reactions that occur. Another one that is highly used is the cosmetics. And the Cruelty Free International article says that 80% of the world uses cosmetics for testing on animals. Now that we know why animals are being tested, we can now get into the different types of testings on animals. The different types of testings will include the Draize test, the LD50 test, and the skin corrosion test. The first one being the Draize test. This is always used mainly on rabbits due to their large eye. They'll strap the rabbit down, inject or drop some of the liquid chemical into one of their eyes, looking at the effects from the chemical from a period of 24 hours to a week. The effects from the Draize test include irritation, ulcers, bleeding, and even blindness. Then we go into the LD50 test. The LD50 test is used for drug dosing. This is where they'll pump the animal with certain levels drastically increasing of the drug to the animal. This can be due to the skin, inhalation, as seen, and they will use this to see their limit on the drug until they finalize the death of the animal. Our last animal test is the skin corrosion test. Within the skin corrosion test, this is where they put the chemical on the skin of the animal. This causes irritation, bleeding, and even burning through layers of different skin levels. Now, after we have gone through and seen the different tests that goes with the animals, we can now get into seeing how cruel and the terrible detrimental effects that happen on these animals. There has to be a different way, right? Well, there are alternatives. Some alternative measures that we can use to get away from animal testing are in vitro testing. This uses human cells and tissues being placed in a small circular container where they can use the chemical to see how it directly affects the human cells. This is actually even better than using animals because it's directly correlated to human genetics. The in silico computer modeling uses skin grafting techniques and other computer modeling to see how diseases and other chemicals can affect the human structure. Human volunteers are also used as an alternative. They use microdosing, which is giving the human volunteer safe levels of dosage of the drug. And now that we have gone over the different alternatives, there are other ways to help and get rid of animal testing. But what else can we do? You, as people in our society, can be involved and take a stand in this project. You need to be aware. Being aware is the first and most important step in what you can do to help. You should be aware that animal testing exists and does occur within our world. Know the products. Make sure you know the products that test on animals. And take a stand. You taking a stand could be adding money to a project or organization to help use the alternatives instead of animal testing, or it can even be using a minimal effect of just refusing to buy a product that has been tested on animals. And to conclude, we've gone over what animals are being tested on, why they're being tested, the different types of testings, alternative measures, and what you can do to help. Any minimalistic thing you can do can take a stand. By taking this stand, it can one day create our role in erasing and getting rid of animal testing once and for all. All right. Now, does anyone have any questions? Yes.
What alternative do you think is unethical for?
Unethical?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
one of the
what?
test
Yeah,
measures.
one of the
Okay.
test hazards.
They're all unethical to me.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's a scientific procedure where they're saying they're using the animals to test. That way, they don't have to test on a human. But I do think the one that is the most unethical would be the LD50 test, just because of the fact that they are literally pumping the animal with large amounts of drugs just until they die. So that way they can see what was their limit that killed them. So I think that's the most unethical one, as it's just awful, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does it make sense to test on animals such as guinea pigs, mice, and rats, given that they're this big and we're humans that are weighing 150 pounds plus?
It's honestly just how you believe and what you think is ethical and unethical. Obviously, most people are going to agree that testing on a small animal is definitely the way to go than testing on a human, because humans have brains. Everyone has a brain, but humans are top of the food chain, you know, so we're doing this for the humans. But I can see we have to do something to see like how the drugs react, what can be causing this drug, and all kinds of these things. But there are alternative measures that we can use that way we could save some of the animals' lives, because thousands and millions of them are dying. Any other questions?
Out of the three alternatives, which one do you think works best?
Out of the three alternatives, I would say the in vitro one would work best, just because they're directly related to human genetics, using the human tissues and cells. By using that, we're going to see the direct effect it could actually cause to a human without actually trying it on a human. All right, well, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Appreciate